Good afternoon. My name is Virginia Skinaris. I'm the CEO of the Piast Institute, and we have recently received a grant for the implementation and development of a nutrition awareness campaign looking at 4 particular zip codes, and it happens to be those zip codes are in Commissioner, and this is Commissioner Scott, and Commissioner was so kind to be able to, after years of discussion that she and I had together, we've been talking about food accessibility and food equity for a long time in these in the Commissioner's district. So I thank you, Commissioner, for getting us this grant and convincing the other commissioners to be able to try this pilot program to see what is going on in our communities and in terms of food equality, food security. So I welcome you today, and I thank Channel 19 for being able to bring this to the people of the community who at this time we're not doing the town halls because they're too difficult to do. So this enables us to reach many people and throughout your district in particular. So we can start. I think you have some questions for me today, and I would love to inform the community about this this awareness program that we have going.
Very good. Thank you so much, Virginia. Thank you for introducing this program to me, and my colleagues thought it was so great that that's why I was able to get this grant to see about, because we know there's so many food deserts in our community and that, and I just want to kind of ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Why is this program called Family Table?
Well, that's kind of interesting. We were trying to come up with a name, as all grants have to have a name attached to it. And I, in particular, feel very strongly that food is a basic right of all individuals. It's education is a basic right, but certainly food accessibility is a right that we should all want for each other. And there is a new study out about what it means to come together as a family, and that doesn't mean a mom, a dad, a sister, and a brother. It means people that you consider family, extended or otherwise, and you come together, and if you sit at a table and eat, you are socially more able to communicate with each other, to learn about each other, whether it's your extended family or neighbors or friends or community members. So we had this image of having people come together at this family table and join in socially, but also to enjoy food that should be accessible to all of us. And call in your neighbors, call in your friends, enjoy, as we know in these particular zip codes, there's a lot of diversity. And so let's share our different ethnic foods and traditions and holidays. And so that's why we came up with Family Table, because we think it can start right at the table.
That's a great idea. You know, we used to sit around at the table, you know, the families did. So maybe this will kind of get people back to sitting down together and eating. And so that's a great idea. Now, how does literacy play a part in food security?
Well, that's really interesting, because people go, what does literacy, have to do? We're talking about nutritional literacy, the ability that people have that they can make good choices, and you make good choices by being educated and knowledgeable and informed. Doesn't mean you have a PhD degree. It means that from that family table, you've learned as a child the good foods and the bad foods, and the foods that we can have on holidays that we can't have any other time. But literacy goes a step further, and it's, can you read a label on, we can't expect people to say, well, eat better when you don't know how to read a label. And you can't read, or you don't understand. And it is complicated, because it might say on a label that it's 50 calories, but you have to read the fine print where it says per serving, and there's 5 servings in this bottle. And we try to help the youth understand about pop, because it is the sin, it's the evil, and get kids to realize how much sugar is in. So if this was a bottle of Coke, the sugar would come about up to here.
Exactly.
It's unbelievable. So can you read that? Can you understand it? What about going to the grocery store and pricing things? Like, is it better to get an individual thing that you're going to eat and use? Or should you stockpile because it's on sale? Because this one item costs $1, but if you buy it in bulk, it could be 75 cents. You can't figure that out if you can't read and you can't understand that. So part of this program also, through Channel 19, we'll be doing an episode on how to read a label. So we're going to teach people to do it. But literacy is very important, because it gives the people, it empowers them. I can go into the supermarket and I can read and know, and no one's going to cheat me. We had an individual who every day would buy a can of pop at the party store for $1.25. We did the math for her. We showed her, if you buy a 12-pack, that pop now is 52 cents instead of $1.25. But not only that, but you can have so much more for your money overall, and you can use that additional savings for other things that you need nutritionally. So it is about teaching people how to read labels, how to go to the supermarket, and how to do, and now with online shopping, it becomes even more important, because you've got to go on the internet, you've got to read this stuff, you've got to figure out what you want to shop for. You don't walk down an aisle and pick this or pick that. So reading and literacy and nutritional literacy is really a big part of this program.
Mm-hmm. And encouraging them to make a list before they go to the grocery store.
And don't go hungry.
And don't go hungry. Exactly. All right. Well, I think that's excellent. And because they do need to know how to read, and then they'll be more concerned about it, I believe. Mm-hmm. You know,
knowledge is power.
It's power. Yes. Okay. Now, what is food equity?
Well, you know, how fair is that? So if I live on this side of the street and I have this available to me, why can't I have what they have across the street? If it's all fair and all even, we want food equity to be for everyone as a human right, as I said, so that it's about availability and accessibility. And why, if something is, and we use this term very loosely, but if it's on this side of 8 Mile, why can't we have what's on the other side of 8 Mile? And why won't the national stores come into our communities and offer the same thing that they offer other people? So we want it to be equal, and we want it to be fair, and we want the portion that we deserve.
Okay. Then we need to encourage people to write to their legislators, asking them to work with them so that they can have what everyone else has.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to demand it.
Yes.
To feel good about yourself.
Right.
And confident that your community deserves it.
Right. And I think that will encourage more of my colleagues and us to work together on these issues. And once they see this and what it's really doing, we know that there isn't equity for everyone. But now how do we get together and get it done? Mm-hmm. And so,
because there is a lot of power with numbers, as we know, and we come together and say, hey, Kroger's, why aren't you considering building a grocery store on the east side of Detroit? Not Grosse Pointe, not Roseville, not East Detroit. That's not what we consider the east side of Detroit, but it is in Detroit, and that's where we need it, that's where we want it. And also to show our kids that they deserve to have those clean stores and not only have to go to the party store to get their food.
Do you know what programs that are available to the public that stretches a person's budget?
Well, that's important because there are a lot of programs, but when you dig deep, are they in name only? And so we try to go through some of those programs. One of the ones that is for real, that is exactly what they say it is, and that is the Double Up bucks. That's at Easter Market, where if you receive your EBT funds and you have the card, you can go to Easter Market on Saturday or Tuesday for a couple more weeks on Tuesday, but you can go on Saturday. You can, if it's say $10, you get $15 worth of food. So, I mean, it's pretty, like, it's such a good deal. And then if you did the math on it, and if it would be 25% or 50% or what of more that you would get, and it's all fresh fruits, vegetables, and I do believe, I don't know this for sure, but I do believe you can use it at Central Market as well. So we know how big Easter Market is, we know everything that's available, so any vendor at Easter Market who accepts EBT, you would be able to, in their little coins that you get, so it's very respectful. You don't use the card, you actually use coins like money. So and I think that that's really a great one. Of course, there's SNAP and there's WIC, which is very reliable, and that's for women, infants, and children. So the government does make sure, or they try to, as long as you apply, that our pregnant women and our infant children have formula and food and services that they need, and that goes to pre-5, 5-year-olds. So it goes, in that, and that's a really reliable program as well. And then we have our school programs, which I really like, because if you're hungry, you might not like that whatever they serve, but if you're hungry, you have food. And so it always makes me feel comfortable that the kids start the day off with breakfast, and they do get lunch. And I like that idea. I worry about them after lunch because, but at least they have some nutrition, during that. So that's a really reliable program as well.
Well, how do you acquire these coins you're talking about?
Oh, you just go to Easter Market, it's an exchange. Like I walk up to you and say, here's my card, and they give you these coins.
Okay.
And it's taken off your card.
And that's how you purchase.
And that's how you purchase. Very respectful, which is so important. And there is mobile markets too, where they're like food trucks that will come in neighborhoods and service, but it's hit and miss. Will they show up? Won't they show up? Will I be home when they show up? So it's not as reliable of a program as some of these others. And then the food banks, like Focus Hope isn't in our district, but I love Focus Hope. They have a great program because they treat people with respect and dignity. So you go in there, it's like a grocery store. They don't just throw food at you, or you get a grocery bag, and you leave there and you have your dignity. So I really love Focus Hope's programs. And there's Gleaners and Forgotten Harvest, which supports our giveaways. And my objection to giveaways is I hate the idea that you have to wait in line in the middle of a huge parking lot, and everybody that goes by in a small community knows you're there for a giveaway. That shouldn't be an excuse not to get food, but I'd like for people to be shown more respect. And I think there's a better way that we need to come together as a community to support those food banks, and then to find other ways to be able to do. There's one here in Hamtramck, Q of A's, which is Queen of Apostles Church. They actually give a hot meal with the giveaway. So you go there and there is a hot prepared, I mean, like fabulous meal. And then it's pre-arranged, and you open your trunk and they put it in your trunk. I would like to see the food, I hate the word food giveaways right there, but I would like to see where you could go and say, I don't eat beans, I don't eat rice, but I eat potatoes. So I'll take the potatoes, but you don't have a choice. So what a lot of people do, which is terrible, but a lot of people just go to the nearest dumpster and get rid of the beans or the rice or whatever it is, because ethnic groups eat certain foods than other ethnic groups do, and you might not even know what to do with beans. You might not even know what to do with rice. And so it's important, I feel, that maybe we can say, I'll take the potatoes and I'll take the bread and the milk, but save that for someone else, because I don't need that. And I'm by myself. I don't need all this. Let me just get what I need. I think people are extremely fair in those situations. They're always worried about the people who are standing behind them. Are they going to get? And so we got to give people credit that they kind of know what they need. And I think the other food program that, believe it or not, it's kind of peculiar, is the dollar store. The dollar store, there you can buy protein. They do have frozen foods. They do have fresh, not fruits and vegetables, but they do have like dairy. They have milk, they have butter, they sell different things. But if you explore down the aisles, you can have great protein. They sell tuna, they sell salmon in a can, they sell all kinds of food. Stay away from the candy and the novelties. But if you go down those aisles, they have beans, they have all kinds of nutritious food. We actually have a recipe for Thanksgiving where you can feed a family of 4 on $20, including you can get pumpkin pie, you can get the pie crust in the box that you make, you can get the eggs to make whatever. There's stuffing in a box. There's so much you can actually, for a small amount of money, feed a family of 4 on Thanksgiving with all, and still have all the trimmings. They have yams in a can, which I kind of like. And it's very, so we have a lot of available, and Channel 19 has many slides on it that shows all these different things and tells us people how to do these different kind of hacks, if you will, of how to feed your family well on a minimal budget. And at the dollar store, you can use your EBT card. So it's very accessible. So these are just just a few of the programs that I think work.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's great information to give. So how does transportation and the internet play a role in the accessibility?
Well, these are our barriers. Now we're getting into the barriers that stop us from food accessibility. And if I live in a location, which there's many homes, neighborhoods in the district, that you have to have a bus to get anywhere because there's nothing around you. And if there isn't a bus line, then how do I get to the store? I have to wait till a family member has time to take me, or I go without and I just say I'm gonna walk 4 blocks to the party store, and I'm not worthy of having that supermarket experience because I have no accessibility. And so transportation, to me, without transportation, this doesn't work. Nothing will work. So we have to find a way to make sure that either the stores are coming to our people, or they're bringing transportation to take our people to the stores. They do it in the suburbs. I mean, it's not a weird thought. Walmart has these huge buses that they'll take into neighborhoods, pick up seniors, or go to, and I've seen them at Highland Park as well, but it's very specific. And so we need better bus lines, we need better signage on the bus lines, and we need information like using Channel 19 to publicize bus lines. A lot of our people, yeah, there's a bus stop by your, but where does it take you? And how do you get that information? So the internet plays, transportation and internet play an important role. We say to people all the time, if you want to pay your credit card bill, and they'll say, no one answers the phone anymore if you call, they redirect you to their website. Well, what if you don't have internet? And we assume that everyone has internet. I think that's one of the biggest fallacies that there is. Everybody does not have internet. Everybody does not have phone access, or it's limited. So we need to expand our internet coverage, and I think responsible people should make sure that everyone in our district has internet coverage if they want it. And for our seniors in particular, we not only have to give them a phone or give them a tablet, but we have to have classes to teach them how to do it. Because, you know, I'm a businesswoman and I use a computer all the time, and I'm always asking the young ones, can you come here and tell me what this is and how to get into this? Because it's tricky. And the other thing is places like Meijer and Kroger's, they have food delivery, and they have food where you order it and you can pick up your food at the grocery store, but not in this district.
But there's an extra charge if they do that, right?
There's an extra charge if they would come into their zip code. So we need to ask Costco, how do you determine what zip codes you're going in? Because when that person from this zip code shows up in your store, you don't tell them to go away. You don't tell them that you don't want them to shop in your store, but yet you won't come into the communities that we need you to come into, especially for seniors, to make one of our staff person. She calls Costco and they deliver right to her house, put it right on her front porch, but we can't get it in this zip code. So we need to demand an answer and say to them, why don't you do that for us?
I wasn't aware of that, but I'm glad to know that, so that this is something that we need to talk to those stores regarding this.
Yes, and say to them, we're on to you. We're on to you. There's no reason. We're here, and I would not complain if they didn't allow us to shop in their stores. But they do. If we get there, we can still spend money in their stores. But that doesn't help us for our seniors and our people that don't have cars and transportations. And today with the price of gas, we really need to look at this. And the price of cars, availability of used cars. There are some people that can't even, they have some money, they can't buy a used car because there's no used cars available. We need to address all these things, because in the meantime, our kids are going without.
Okay. Now, where does Channel 19, is it in all the stations?
Well, Channel 19, to my knowledge, and it's new, this is a new program that we are collaborating with the Hamtramck City Library, but to my knowledge, minimally, could be any amount of people, but at least 5,000, 10,000, and I'm not sure if it's people or households, but that if you have Comcast, and so there's something, you have to have Comcast, is available, but you can come into the Hamtramck City Library or any library and you can watch it. It's also would be on your phone because you could use YouTube. So there's lots of ways.
Okay.
If you go on our website, we give directions on how to navigate that.
Well, that's good to know, because there is some different avenues there.
Exactly.
Okay. Can you talk a bit about food vendors that are available in the community?
Yes, so you have party stores, gas stations. There are little stores who actually do a good job. And we know this because we've canvassed every store in the district and asked them the questions about what they sell. Do they have fresh vegetables or fruits or vegetables? Do you sell meat? Do you sell dairy? Do you sell eggs? And just in talking with them, we know that they're a community partner because they engaged with us. And they're like, you know, oh, listen, come talk to, oh, we'd love to tell you what, and then there are other ones that have hung up on us. So we have done a lot of research, and we'll be able to tell the community in a few short weeks exactly who all those vendors are. And in my other job with Hamtramck Drug-Free Community Coalition, we actually canvass all the vendors, and then we go back and do vendor education. I would like to see that this program would allow for vendor education, and what I mean by that is to go in there, talk to the vendors, educate them on what shelf life is, how they need to rotate their products, and the products that they need to bring into the stores that particular community wants. So working with block clubs and working with churches and working with communities, that will allow us to tell those vendors what we need as a community. And it could, and the good side of that is, there's not a bad side, the good side of that though is that the vendor has an opportunity to actually make more money because they're bringing to the community what they need. So those areas where there isn't a Meijer, you know, and there's only one Meijer, and that's on 8 Mile. There's a pretty decent grocery store on Gratiot, and of course Hamtramck has 2 actually 3 long-standing reputable grocery stores, and Highland Park has a few as well. But the inner part of that district has to either go to Highland Park or go to Hamtramck, or, you know. So we want to make it so that if you don't have that decent sized grocery store, or maybe you just go there once a month, you should be able to go locally, whatever the access is, and get respectable food and quality food and food that's interchanged and food that's not overpriced. And I think we need to go in and really get those vendors that are overcharging. They're going to a place like Aldi's or Costco, they're buying in bulk, they're going and selling it back to the community 3 times the amount. That is not fair, it's not right, nobody wins in that situation. So those are some of the things that we really want to change, and I think through this report to the commissioners that it'll allow everyone to see, and next time they go to a party store, they'll take a look, and maybe they just want to pick up, you know, something to drink because they have a grocery store close to them. But take the time to look at the shelf and pull off a product and look at the date, and that'll tell you the story, whether that vendor is reputable or not.
Well, that's excellent. And I think that if we can get to the block clubs and that, where this information can really get disseminated, you know, but being able to pull down on your phone and some other things. So I think this is just great. And what is the makeup of the population of the district?
Well, in your district, you serve honorably to 129,662 people. The breakdown of that is over 18 is about 70,000. So it's really relatively young, but I think, and seniors are 15,000 in your district. But I think what's remarkable is that you serve 33,973 under 18, so that can be 0 to 18. That's a really young population. You have young children, which means you have young families, and people that we need to take care of. because they're vulnerable, and nutrition is very important to, and people say, well, it doesn't really affect me. It affects all of us. And because, kids who don't eat, we know, don't do well in school, do terrible on standardized tests, are behavioral problems at times because they're frustrated, they're hungry, and those things turn into crime and other things that is preventable. It's all preventable, and it starts with food and good nutrition. Wow. So your breakdown, and of course we have certainly in your district, people are pretty educated in terms of how many graduates, how many high school graduates, how many have degrees. In this one population, 48203, 30% of that population has college, some college, and 12% have bachelor's, and 7% have graduate degrees. That's just in a small zip code. So I think, we know that poverty has no label. I mean, it can hit anybody at any time. But also educated people with graduate degrees, people who have jobs, they're working 2 jobs. Moms who are single moms, they're working 2 jobs. They have 3, 4 kids they're trying to take care of. Poor does not in any means mean dumb. It does not at all. And it means that people are trying to do the best that they can with what they have. And sometimes they need a hand up. And I think this program speaks to that and says, we have well-educated, but it's hard out there. The economy is not good. We know the cost of gas. We have to make a decision. Do we buy another loaf of bread, or do we put gas in the car so I can get to work? And it's all like a big circle. But we know that food is the center of that household. And if that single mom needs help with anything, that's what she needs help with.
Well, thank you so much for bringing it to our attention. And I'm sure that all of my colleagues will want to institute this program in their district.
Okay. And I thank you so much. And I guess I just want to end with saying that what also in all this we found is that kids really want a safe haven, a safe place to be, and food allows them to feel secure because they know that kids know when the freezer's empty and when the refrigerator's empty, but they also know when it's full, and that provides a safe and caring environment for them, and that's what we want to achieve.
Right, but we want to train them to eat properly.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner.
So they'll have healthy bones in
Yes,
that.
Exactly. This can only be positive.
Yes.
I know that there's some barriers and sounds a little negative, but I think the changes are very reachable.
Well, I think this is something that we can all work on to make it better.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As always.
All right.
As always.